Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for the Promised Neverland episode 9, and I am so sorry that basically this review is as late as it is, guys. It was just kind of one of those things where I was watching the episode. I was in the middle of watching the episode, but then as time went on, like in the middle of watching the episode, there's always one distracting thing after another that I had to go and deal with. So yeah, that's the reason as to why this is late. Pretty much fucking life and distractions, right? But anyway, let's just go ahead and get right into the episode, because to start off, the beginning of the episode, there's actually a bit of dialogue that we see from Isabella that was, and the line of dialogue in particular from Isabella, I think they actually changed. I think I'm a little with Isabella's like first line of dialogue in the episode. I'm a little iffy about it because because I think they changed something in it. When the line of dialogue I'm talking about is when we see is Isabella basically repeating that she broke Emma's leg. She says in the manga, or at least the version of the manga I read, she basically says it's completely broken. I did it, and like I said, granted the translation I'm taking that from, I don't think was an official translation, but it would have been cool if Isabella had said something in the anime that was definitely that was a little more to that effect, because then if Isabella said something like that, then it'd be a really cool dual kind of meaning. There'd be a cool dual meaning behind her words, which is that while she's basically broken Emma's leg, while she's broken Emma's leg, she's also crippled the kids' she's also crippled the kids' rebellion. And granted, you could still pretty much glean that from pretty much her actions in the last episode and in the beginning of this one. But the dialogue it didn't really match up with what it is that we were pretty much seeing, I think. So yeah, if they just kind of change up the dialogue a little bit, I would have been a lot happier with that beginning part, I think. Now, one thing I liked about this episode is how they're starting to bring back a lot of the stuff that was already established in like previous episodes. Like, for instance, they basically brought back they pretty much brought back the whole shipping process into the critical thinking of why Norman is being shipped out. And the funny thing about the conclusion they came to is that the funny thing with the conclusion that basically Ray came to about why Norman is being shipped out is that it basically, like, don't get me wrong, like, the reason as to why Norman is being shipped out, it does screw up their plans to escape, but the screwy part of it is that basically is the reason why Norman is being shipped out has nothing to do with the fact that pretty much, or from what we know, the reason why Norman is being shipped out has nothing to do with basically stopping the escape. It was really just an order. It was an order from the demons that coincidentally just kind of happens to screw up everything that the kids have been planning up to this point. And I love it when a series does this. It puts the screws to the main character or a group's plan with pretty much without any with pretty much without the intent of actually trying to sabotage them. Like pretty much the sabotage in this case, it was purely on an order, nothing more, nothing less than that. And yeah, I love that. I love it. And And of course, the big reveal that we get in this episode is that Ray has known there. And with this episode, I can safely say that there are basically a bunch of humongous reveals that we get in this episode. The first big reveal in this episode is that Ray has known the truth about Gracefield the entire time. And looking back on this material and the reason as to why he knows, it really kind of just makes me makes me just kind of go back in my seat, and it makes me it makes me think and realize just how adult this series is, how adult The Promised Neverland is compared to most series in Shonen Jump, because it doesn't downplay anything. It uses extremely logical and straightforward means in order to add a lot of genuine a legitimacy to pretty much the story as legitimacy to the story, or as much as it can, while still existing within this fantastical world where demons exist. Everything in this world is based on an actual fact. I even went and looked up pretty much the whole infancy amnesia thing, and that is a legitimate thing. So in this case, for something pretty much like that, it was used as a means in order to further the story, which I can do nothing but love. I love it when I think this is something that pretty much Death Note was known for too. So yeah, I gotta give this series props for basically using for blending reality and fantasy together so well. Um, but the other big thing is that but the other big thing in terms of the plot reveal is that we basically learn it really doesn't, and this is something that's revealed at the end of the episode, is that it's revealed that it really doesn't so far from it just the series just keeps piling on shit that basically that could basically that's gonna throw the kids out of the frying pan and into the fire. If it's not bad enough that pretty much the series had to say that, yeah, even if they escape the orphanage, they're still gonna have to deal with just a society of demons. But even more than that, we pretty much learn that that basically on the other side of the wall is a huge cliff in between the pretty much farm facility, the entire farm facility, and freedom. Really, pretty much demons weren't enough. You had to throw that little nugget in too. And it's damn it, and it's one of those things where, or just when you think that they pretty much finally found hope, just when you think that they finally regained their hope after Isabella basically broke Emma's leg, it's what the fuck now? Even as a manga reader, someone who's read the manga, I was yeah, what the fuck now? So yeah, I love it. And yeah, it's just a huge punch to the gut after having just gotten it. And what makes it even more of a punch to the gut is that this came right on the eve of Ray giving Norman the device in order to disable the trackers. So it's even if they disable trackers, even if they escape, pretty much none of it is gonna be worth a damn if they can't even figure out a way over that cliff. So it's yeah, holy shit, Promised Neverland, holy shit. Now, on to the adaptation. As an adaptation, I do gotta take a moment to talk about the adaptation of this episode in general. And while I will say that this episode was decent enough, and it did have a lot of cool moments, there are two major things that were basically cut out of this episode that really kind of decreased the enjoyment level a bit for me, which is that when Emma awakens to pretty much Norman at her bedside, Emma had this vision of Norman's death after being shipped out. That in a way was basically mirroring what pretty much happened to basically Connie, and the way she died. So yeah, that was already kind of an immediate downgrade. I really wanted to see that visual, but. Oh well, but the even bigger one for me is that the anime also cut out the moment. Also cut out the other moment that was a bit of a downgrade for me is when we see Ray explaining how he's known about the truth about Gracefield this entire time. Cloverworks, they didn't even bother to, in order to even try to adapt the whole sequence of seeing the facility where the babies are born. that in itself was like, yeah, you kind of flopped on that one. You really kind of flopped on that one, Cloverworks. Like, it was, again, all of these are cool visuals, but I don't understand as to why Cloverworks isn't taking advantage of these visuals. Like, is their budget, is their animation budget just pretty much not, just not enough or something, or what? Like, I desperately want to know. And I mean, I suppose these first 12 episode series aren't going to have a huge budget to begin with, but yeah, it does feel like, well, it does weirdly feel like Cloverworks isn't even making even making for pretty much full use of their budget or something like that, or something's going on. Just cool. The cool visuals are right in front of you, and you're not taking advantage of it. I don't get that. But in general, one thing. But in general, one thing I feel that is a major downgrade, and looking back, I realize it has been a problem with this adaptation in general, is the fact that with the particular material that they adapted, that there was a lot of cool angles and shots from the manga, with this particular part of the story, but the anime kept it pretty standard and pretty safe, and especially with this episode. And in fact, I'm even starting to realize the problem with the backgrounds that Yonko Productions and what was basically bringing up in his video. So it's like, yeah, it's there's basically a lot of cool stuff here, but not enough. And yeah, I feel, and in a way, I feel I'm repeating myself by saying this. In fact, I probably know I am, but I like how the weight of this situation has both has how the weight of what's been going on has beat our heroes down, yet at the same time, also made their resolve stronger. Like in Norman's case, he's realized that for as terrible and emotional as seeing him shipped out is going to be, it is still the best possible option when you stop and think about it. Even taking into account and honestly, with the 2 points that Ray brought up about the escape, this honestly makes it even makes it even more of a poignant, even more of an important factor of like that leaving Grace. It's not just about the fact that there's a huge cliff, but that in general, pretty much leaving Gracefield by pretty much way of the gate is probably like the best way in order at least for Norman to escape, because it actually, because I feel that things are being set up where there's more, because I felt this way in the manga too, but if you really look at it, it's being set up where there's definitely more than one way to escape, and in this case, escaping through the gate, I feel, is the best way in order to get away from prying eyes, and in general, I just gotta say that Norman, he was the MVP of this episode, like seeing Norman's resolve and how far he's willing to go in order to survive. Survive, like, yeah, even if he leaves by pretty much way of the gate, you definitely know he's gonna return. He's gonna return in some way. Wink, wink. But yeah. And of course, Norman's development isn't the only thing we get to see, because Emma, in her own way, develops in this episode. And while she has grown more determined than ever in order to escape with everyone, we can also see she has become a lot more open to the methods by which they escape. And I do like how this has made them has made all three of them a lot less naive about what they actually need to do in order to escape. In fact, the conversation between the three of them at Emma's bedside, where they were just cheerfully bouncing ideas about escaping, was a perfect way of showcasing this, because it shows that they've broadened their plans and broadened their horizons as a means of escaping. However, with Emma's However, the thing with Emma's development in this episode, it's a lot more. There is a tragic element to it as well, unfortunately, because with Emma, even though she's pretty much growing more open minded to any kind of idea in order to in order to escape, you can clearly start to see now that the veil of Emma's optimism is starting to crumble, and basically now and now we can visibly see how desperate Emma is to hold on to her belief that everyone is gonna get out of this okay. Like, yeah, like basically like the whole facade and what Emma believed in. It's believed in about everyone escaping. That whole notion in her, it is starting to crumble even as much as she would like to hold on to it for as tight as she can. I think she basically knows now that it's going to be a little more impossible than she first thought. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and any list of Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.